It is that time for oral communication. The public may speak on any item that is not on the printed agenda. No action may be taken by the board.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Trinity Avila, and I'm the CEO for Habitat for Humanity of Tuolumne County. And actually, I come very quickly with just 3 things that I want to share with you this morning. The first thing I want to share that's most important is just the appreciation for your support of Habitat for Humanity. We are currently the only affordable builders here in Tuolumne County, and the partnership that we have with Tuolumne County is the reason why we have been successful since 1999. And secondly, I wanted to come to personally invite each and every one of you to our fall event, our house party event coming up on October 21st. I encourage you to go visit our brand new website, habitattuolumne.org, and that's where you'll be able to purchase tickets that are going to be available starting on August 1st. But thirdly, I have the biggest challenge that I have for you that I'm bringing to you this morning, and that is that we're looking to have our very first Tuolumne County Build Day, which means we have talked to the CRA department, and we're looking to collectively raise $10,000 by having all of the Tuolumne County departments, from the Sheriff's Department to the County Resource Agency to the supervisors, all participate in raising $10,000 and being able to come out onto our build site and participate in one of our largest build days, which means you would be raising walls, hammering next to your neighbors, and really showing how amazing Tuolumne County is. Because it takes a community to build a community, and because you're a part of making this such an amazing place to live, we want to include you and invite you to do that. I've already spoken with David Gonzalez, and the CRA department has accepted the challenge. And so what I want to do is see if you will accept the challenge and consider it as well. I think it would be a great challenge of all of Tuolumne County and the departments, not only to raise funds, but to come out and show the community what it looks like to have hands-on experience on helping to build workforce affordable housing here in Tuolumne County.
Madam Chairman, it seems to me that there are several organizations within the county that ought to be considered for that challenge. I mean, where's the sheriff and the DSA? I mean, they got a big crowd. They ought to be joining in and taking on the CRA challenge. I think the Department of Social Services, which is the biggest organization in the county, and by the way, this fits right in on your line of making people self-sustaining. You ought to accept the challenge. I thought I saw our unit chief around. Oh, there he is. He's hiding. I think he and his team might want to accept the challenge. And I think we ought to reach out and add the city to the challenge, maybe TUD and the county schools. Anybody else want to join? I think this is a great event. Habitat for Humanity is the only affordable housing program in Tuolumne County. It's the only thing that works, and they're making it happen. So I think I personally have already talked to David. I offered to join his team.
Well, Supervisor, I'm looking around the room. I see a number of department heads here, and I can't imagine any of them would want to be outdone by our newest department head. So we will look forward to see who steps forward.
Thank you very much.
We'd accept legal counsel joining the challenge too, wouldn't we?
Like I said, I'm not calling them out by name just yet, but I see a number of them here.
Before you get up there, are you accepting the challenge?
Let's discuss what we have to discuss, and then you can understand why I may have to delay until the rainy season, okay? Madam Chairwoman, members of the board, county staff, as well as members of the public, Josh White, Unit Chief and County Fire Chief. I just wanted to give a quick update on the fire season and where we're at. Obviously, to the south of us, we have the Detweiler incident. It's currently 15,500 acres and only 5% contained. It's running very similarly to what we saw during the Butte fire, not as fast, but it is a very mean fire, and this is gobbling up a lot of acreage every single hour. So I just want to make sure that we're all aware of our neighbors to the south in Mariposa are struggling. And so if anybody wants to reach out, American Red Cross is always looking for some assistance. Also, yesterday we had the Maria incident in Calaveras County that was held at 55 acres. We're currently at about 50% containment on that one, and we're looking really good with the resources. Just know that your county fire districts, county fire, as well as your fire districts, City of Sonora, everybody is participating. We're sending resources throughout the entire state of California. We've got resources down on the Detweiler. It's all in, and I really appreciate the public's assistance in keeping our ignitions in Tuolumne County down to a bare minimum. We've had a few small fire starts here in Tuolumne County, but we've been able to get on those immediately with the initial attack resources and keep them small. So I just plead with the community to be fire safe, and One Less Spark campaign means let's keep one less spark out of the grass. Do you have any questions for me?
Just want to thank you for the update.
Thank you very much. Have a good day.
Good morning. I'm Sheila Cruz, outgoing director of First Five Tuolumne. I'm here today to introduce our new First Five Tuolumne County Director, Sarah Garcia. Sarah is one of your own. She comes to us from the Tuolumne County Recreation Department. And Sarah has a really broad knowledge of community systems, community people, and we're really looking forward to her leadership. The new First Five office with Sarah in it is now located in the Tuolumne County Superintendent of Schools office. The commission entered into an agreement with the Superintendent of Schools to provide staffing to the commission, but the commission itself, of course, will remain a county entity under the county ordinance. And since I have 17 years in, I get to say a few words. And that is simply, I've really had the honor and privilege of serving with an amazing group of people over 17 years. That includes board members, county staff, and community members. And if it's taught me anything, it's never to underestimate the power of a modest amount of money, local control over it, and good thinking and good intentions. First Five has been a success. It's done a lot of good. It sort of blows me away that the children we first served are now entering high school, college, the job market. So time marches on, and so must I. And so with that, I give you and proudly introduce the new director of First Five Tuolumne County, Sarah Garcia.
Good morning. I just want to say how excited I am to have this opportunity. I have huge shoes to fill here. Luckily, she's going to be staying with me for a little while to train me on all of the ins and outs, which is great because just in this last week, I think my head's about to explode with all of the information and details, really important details about this program. But I'm just so excited to continue on my career in serving children and families in Tuolumne County, and I'm really excited about it. So thank you for having me today. Thank you.
So just a point of clarification. As has been mentioned, the board very wisely is doing a couple-month transition period here. So this won't be the last time that we see Sheila. I don't want anyone on this board to think that is the case. But welcome.
Thank you.
And I just want to really acknowledge the very smooth transition. They're challenging. And so we were very fortunate to find somebody within our, in the government family with the experience that you have. Want to tell you how excited I am that you're here. But yes, you do have tremendous shoes that you will be filling. And I'm sure we will be talking about that more in the next couple of months.
Just a couple words because I know you're probably going to be coming back, Sheila, but I had a few times I was able to get to the meetings in replacement of Sherry, but I certainly appreciate the work that you've done, and you're going to be missed for sure. But enjoy that retirement. And Sarah, welcome back again.
Thank you. I'm so happy to be back.
Thank you, ladies.
Good morning, Board. David Gonzalez, Community Resource Agency Director. have a couple quick announcements. Our Housing and Parks Department have been noticed that they've received a NOFA, Notice of Funding Availability, for $160,000. That grant was written in conjunction with the CAO's office, I believe, and we just got approval for it. So $160,345. So I just received that as I walked in the door this morning. It's a great thing. I think we knew it was coming, but this is the official notice that came through. And I'm sure there'll be discussions about how that'll be utilized in the future. Another great thing that I'm extremely proud of our staff, and Sheila Shanahan from our Housing Department wrote a grant to continue our funding for first-time home buyers. We just received notice that we received a $1 million grant to continue to help with affordable housing or housing that's affordable, whichever way you want to put it. To help with our projects like, well, Habitat for Humanity, as Randy so eloquently threw down the gauntlet this morning. So it's a great deal. It's $926,000 roughly for first-time home buyers, tenant-based rental assistance, about $48,000, and some state overall admin on top of that. So just want to let the board know that that's going on in our departments, and the hard work is continuing to help our community. So thank you.
Thank you. All right. I would also like to note that I received a message from Matt Reed with Congressman McClintock's office, and he will be holding office hours in Supervisor Rotifer's office from 10 to 11:30 this morning if anyone is interested in sharing information with the congressman. And with that, will the clerk please read our consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held July 5th, 2017, approving the revised airport technician class specification as the airport control as the Air Pollution Control District Board, accepting the resignation of Barry Rudolph on the Air Pollution Control District's hearing board, and directing the clerk to send a letter of appreciation and post a notice of vacancy.
Would anyone like to pull an item? Is there any public comment? All right, I'll bring it back.
Madam Chair, I move we approve the consent calendar.
Second.
The motion from Supervisor Gray, a second from Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rotifer absent. Will the clerk please read item 4?
Consideration of adopting a resolution proclaiming July 2017 as the 100th anniversary celebration of the Tuolumne County Library.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Board of Supervisors, Mr. Pedro. This month is the Tuolumne County Library is turning 100 years old. And to commemorate this auspicious event, we ask that you consider adopting a resolution proclaiming the month of July as the 100th anniversary celebration of the Tuolumne County Library. And I would also like to personally invite each and every one of you to come and participate in all of our festivities that we have planned this week of the 18th through the 22nd, beginning today from 2 to 5 at the Sonora Main Library. And hopefully you will visit each one of your local branches and let them know how much you appreciate the library. Thank you. And
Thank you, and I'm hoping that we will be concluded in time this afternoon to come by and join the festivities. Is there any public comment? All right, I'll bring it back to the board.
Madam Chairman, I just have to make my usual comment. I am just amazed at our library. Our library stays relevant. They're up to date. They provide an incredible service to every member of this community, and I can't thank you and your staff for all you do. And with that, I'd like to move in favor of the proclamation.
Well said.
thank you.
I have a motion, a well-said motion by Supervisor Hanfeld, A second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rutherford absent.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Will the clerk please read item 5?
Consideration of approving a certificate of recognition for Rose Waters upon her retirement from the Department of Social Services.
Ms. Connolly.
Good morning, Chairwoman Brennan, members of the board, Ann Connolly, Human Services Agency Director, and it is my pleasure and sadness to be here this morning to honor Rose Waters on the occasion of her retirement after almost 30 years with the Department of Social Services. Rose is our longest tenured employee, starting as a relief clerk typist in 1987, promoting to a permanent employee in February of 88, and then in January 1990, she promoted to a data entry clerk and held that position until she was later promoted to a senior office assistant in February 97. 2 short years later, Rose promoted to an office supervisor and has been an eligibility screener since July 2007. Rose has spent most of her career providing direct services with excellence in customer service. As an eligibility screener, Rose has reviewed and assigned hundreds of applications each month for individuals in need of cash assistance, medical, and food assistance, and she's continually produced huge amounts of work. Beyond that, she's always gone the extra mile to serve our clients. Her compassion and commitment and her community resource knowledge has helped individuals, many of whom are in crisis and have difficulty navigating a complex system. She's consistently been a liaison with other staff to ensure client needs are communicated. She's also provided excellence in customer service for her coworkers. Early in her career, a thank you note from an employee appreciated the way Rose jumped in to help with supplies and form orders, all while doing her regularly assigned tasks. Rose said, "This needs to be done. I know how to do it. I'll get it done." During our first conversion from a paper world to using an automated database for our public assistance programs, the project director wrote to Rose, "Your expertise was very comforting and extremely helpful. I've heard nothing but praise about how great it was to have you near to assist when needed. Just when the staff panicked, you were there to guide them through." One of our former program managers commended Rose for her concern for the department as a whole and Rose's willingness to encourage staff promotion. Many years ago, Adult Services took one of Rose's employees, and as if that weren't enough, Rose volunteered to have one of her office staff help their unit while an employee was recovering from a surgery. The manager wrote about Rose, "She never complains that we are taking her brightest and best. On the contrary, she is happy that her staff may get the opportunity to advance. She is a team player, and I want to thank her." One of the most significant program changes in DSS occurred in 2014, and this was the implementation of the Affordable Care Act. While this caused a lot of trepidation for staff, Rose's attitude remained positive. She would say, "I'm not going to be afraid of doing something wrong. I'm just going to jump in and do what I know I can do and hope for the best." Great attitude. Rose has been equally committed to the county's well-being by consistently embracing her role as a steward of taxpayer dollars. One of her many assignments during these past 29 years included purchasing supplies for the department. Even one of Rose's coworkers praised her frugal efforts. Rose has been known in the Department of Social Services as the queen of the buy one, get one free offer, and has saved us lots of money over the years. She has shown herself to be flexible in her assignments, high energy, dedicated with an excellent work ethic, always here to serve the public. When a project needed to be done, Rose either spearheaded it or assisted in it. Her ability to use systematic methods to accomplish more in less time while not losing sight of clients' needs is to be commended. For almost 30 years, she's demonstrated her passion, compassion, and commitment to public service with her strong desire to make a positive difference in our community, and she's been a respected member of our staff. Her dedication to coworkers and those we serve is her legacy to all of us who've worked with her. We will miss her greatly, and it is a privilege to publicly thank Rose and to honor her today before your board and her coworkers, many of whom are in the audience. I would ask your board to approve a certificate of recognition for Rose Waters on her retirement, July 28, 2017, after 29 years as a county employee. And please join all of us at DSS in wishing her great fortune in the future.
Okay. First things, we have a process to get through. And then I'm hoping there may be some in the audience that would like to share comments about Rose. But first, I have to ask if there is any public comment. All right, seeing none, I'm going to bring it to the board.
Madam Chairman, it's an honor to move in favor of this proclamation, this certificate. Anyone that serves 29 years, I mean, the dedication is amazing. So thank you, Rose, for that. It's amazing. You will be missed.
Second.
So I have a motion from Supervisor Hanfeld, a second from Supervisor Gray. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rotifer absent. Rose, can you please join us at the podium? And first, I'd like to ask if there's anyone that would like to share any other thoughts. Come on up.
Rose, no good indeed ever goes unpunished. People talk about you when you do this.
I just want to
well,
mention, I work with Rose, and the one thing Ann forgot to talk about was how dedicated Rose is to our fish. She is out in our beautiful atrium almost every day feeding the fish, making sure the pumps are going, making sure the fish are happy, and without her taking care of them, I don't know what's going to happen to them. But they're a very important part of our lives, and without Rose, I don't think we'd have as many as we have.
Rose is my trainer when I first started, and folks were bringing me tasks left and right, and I asked her, Rose, what's the priority? And she said, the priority is whatever your supervisor told you what to do. Thank you, Rose.
Very proud.
Well, Supervisor Hanfeld said it really well. Anyone that serves for 29 years. And it's not just serving the county, but you serve the constituents that oftentimes are the most in need in Tuolumne County. So I just want to share one sentiment here that Director Conley gave a very comprehensive overview of your service, but there was one piece here that really struck me, and it's Rose has been the consummate master multitasker, and nothing was beyond her capabilities. On our way to the break in the lunchroom, Rose would organize a cluttered corner, deliver mail to staff, wipe down a counter, and then sit down to knit a scarf as a gift for one of her coworkers. Rose has genuinely cared about her coworkers and has enlightened them by sharing books she has read or nurtured them by making her famous chicken noodle soup on a cold winter day. During Rose's 29 years of service, her infectious laughter has been heard up and down the halls. Rose is a respected member of the DSS staff and has served the county with dedication, an exceptional work ethic, and a strong desire to make a positive difference in her community and for the county. Thank you, Rose, for 29 years of service. And if you want to say a word.
No, it's just been an honor serving the people of Tuolumne County. The time has gone really fast. You would be surprised how busy we are, and I work with a lot of hardworking people, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. clerk please read item 5? I'm sorry, item 6.
This is consideration of approving a certificate of recognition for Sarah and Dennis Jones for their 38 years of leadership with the Sierra Repertory Theater.
Ms. Peterson.
Good morning. Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I am here this morning with the privilege of requesting your board approve a certificate of recognition for the 38 years of leadership that Dennis and Sarah Jones have contributed to the Sierra Repertory Theater. They are two of the founders of SRT and will be retiring from their role on July 31st, 2017. Under their direction at SRT, the theater has presented nearly 9,000 performances of 313 different full-scale productions that have been viewed by more than 1.3 million people. Since its inception, SRT has presented a broad range of theater in our community, from world classics to contemporary work, with talented company members and visiting guest artists, including members of the Actors Equity Association, the union for professional actors and stage managers. Dennis and Sarah Jones have played crucial roles in ensuring that SRT consistently delivers on its mission to produce a wide variety of live theater of exceptional quality while making a vibrant contribution to the local community's economy, culture, and spirit. The certificate of recognition goes into more detail of the impact they have had to our community, but with that, it is my request that your board approve a certificate of recognition for their contribution of 38 years at SRT.
Thank you, Ms. Peterson. Again, we will get through the process, and if there is any public comment, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
Madam Chairman, I have to make a comment. Anybody who has not enjoyed an SRT performance hasn't been there. The performances are amazing. I can't tell you how many times I've gone there and I thought it was so good I went back and saw it again. Most recently I did that when they did Cyrano. I loved Cyrano. It was great. There are many other performances. And I've seen performances all over the world, and SRT doesn't have to take a second place to anybody. They are amazing. So I can't say thank you enough for your dedication and making that happen here in Tuolumne County. It's great. I move in favor of the certificate.
Thank you.
And I would second it, and the comment, I have never been disappointed at any performance that I ever went to. I mean, I'm not maybe as dedicated as Supervisor Hamville at going to it the second time, but I certainly enjoyed the ones that I did see. So thank you.
I have a motion by Supervisor Hanfeld and a second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rotifer absent. And if I could please have Sarah and Dennis join me at the podium. And I absolutely agree with what my colleagues shared. I have never been disappointed by a performance that I've attended. Ms. Peterson hit the highlights, but again, I think it's worth noting a couple of really important points because 38 years is an exemplary example of both leadership and commitment to the arts in Tuolumne County. And under your direction, SRT has consistently delivered on its on its original mission to produce a wide variety of live theater of exceptional quality, making a vibrant impact to the local community's economy, culture, and spirit. SRT continues to make a substantial economic contribution to Tuolumne County, drawing an audience of 45,000 people annually and providing a year-round draw for visitors to our community. It is also due to the leadership of Dennis and Sarah Jones that SRT has earned outstanding accolades for production quality from such organizations as the National Endowment for the Arts and the California Arts Council. In addition, under their leadership, SRT has gained community support, and this is a huge number, from over 500 donors, with 1,500 subscribers. The Board of Supervisors does hereby express our profound appreciation to Dennis and Sarah Jones for 38 years of exceptional contributions to our community, and we wish you continued success as you move into the next chapter of your lives. Thank you for very much. Thank you.
It's been our pleasure.
And if you would like to say anything.
Thank you so much for this honor, first of all, and I really want to just take a moment to appreciate the hundreds of staff members, board members, donors, artists, all those people who have been by our side for those whole 38 years, making what SRT does special. I hope and ask everyone watching today, listening, to continue to support SRT under its extraordinary new leadership, our producing artistic director, Scott Vietz, and the new managing director, Becky Saunders.
Nothing to say, but it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Okay, will the clerk please read item 7?
This is consideration of approving correspondence regarding the Streamlining Bureau of Land Management, Planning and National Environmental Policy Act processes.
Ms. Peterson.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the board. Liz Peterson, Tuolumne County Administrator's Office. Okay, so we are here this morning to discuss the BLM's planning process and their potential streamlining of their land use planning process and NEPA process. In March, President Trump signed a resolution declaring the Bureau of Land Management's Planning Rule 2.0 as null, and requested that the Secretary of Interior, Ryan Zinke, then wrote a letter to acting BLM director expressing his support not only for the president's resolution, but also requesting that the BLM essentially go back to the drawing board on their planning process. As you may recall, the Planning 2.0 process was developed last year, and there were a lot of concerns in how this planning process would engage or not engage, particularly local counties, and allow them the opportunity to contribute to the land planning process for BLM lands. Your board did express comments a couple times regarding this matter. Again, the biggest concern that your board expressed was what Planning 2.0's process would do to local government's ability to coordinate with BLM. So having said that now, and with this newest development, the BLM is looking to make policy, regulatory, and legislative changes to their planning process with a focused effort to identify and implement results-oriented improvements. The goal is a more effective, efficient, and transparent planning process that takes less time, costs less money, and is more responsive to local needs. To this end, BLM is seeking input from local governments specifically on these issues, looking for local governments to provide specific comments on what would be most helpful for them as far as streamlined planning processes and the NEPA process. This item was discussed at your board's July Natural Resource Committee meeting. The committee's comments and suggestions are included in the draft comments that are in the packet for your board's consideration. Comments in this initial of what will most likely be a longer process, but comments for this initial portion at least are due July 21st. So there are attached draft comments for your consideration, and I'm requesting that your board approve those comments with any additional inputs or suggestions you may have.
Thank you. Is there any questions?
Yeah, this is going to come back as far as us sending them recommendations and stuff.
I imagine it will. Yeah, it
Because,
will.
you know, one of the issues that I have over in the 4th District is the lack of maintenance on specific roads that are really important to the safety of the south area. One in particular is Jackass Creek Road. It goes from from Merrill Road to Cunha Road in Mariposa County. They graded that road about 4 years ago, did some maintenance, and it hasn't been touched since. So those are the type of things that we really need to have them pay more attention to.
Supervisor Hanfeld?
Yeah, a good letter, but just for the public knowledge, the concern for BLM is increased over the last years. The letter talks about we have one fire fuels management guy in 14 counties. 6 years ago, we had 2 in 9 counties. That was insufficient. 1 in 14 is grossly insufficient. It's really important that BLM participate with us locally to deal with these things. There's issues in Columbia, for instance, just outside Columbia, where homeowners or landowners are managing their own land for fire suppression, but they're immediately adjacent to BLM land. And they want to work with BLM to do it, and BLM does not have sufficient resources to even do the work, to allow them to do the work for them. It's a crazy world. So this is an important letter. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So I would agree with that. And, oftentimes I get asked why our board sends so many letters. And I would point to this as a very good example of how those letters have paid off, because when BLM went through this planning rule process for the last 2 years and then adopted it, they virtually did not listen to rural counties at all. In fact, this was a topic that I testified on when I was in Washington, D.C. a year ago. And so this is a great example of how the efforts of so many of our rural counties actually affected a change in that it's going to be pulled back, and we are going to actually have an opportunity to resubmit what comments that would provide for better communication and coordination with BLM. And as both Supervisor Hanfield and Supervisor Gray mentioned, we know that that agency is grossly understaffed and has no capacity to manage the lands that they're tasked with managing. So it's incredibly important for them to be coordinating with local governments. So again, this is the beginning of the process, but I personally applaud the effort that's being undertaken and then pulling back the planning rule and opening it back up and actually looking for direction from or some comments from rural counties. Anything to add?
I agree.
Okay, is there any public comment? All right, seeing none, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move in favor of the letter.
Second.
So I have a motion from Supervisor Hanfeld, a second from Supervisor Royce. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rotifer absent. Thank you. All right, we are going to move item 7A and put that after our closed session. So will the clerk please read item 8?
This is consideration of approving correspondence in support of Senate Bill 2, the Building, House, and Job Act. Homes and Job Act, sorry.
Ms. Shanahan.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. I'm Sheila Shanahan, Housing Program Coordinator for the county. The legislation, SB 2, is the Building, Homes, and Jobs Act. It establishes a permanent source for financing affordable housing in California. It creates a $75 recording fee for non-real estate purchase transactions, and the maximum fee per transaction is $225. This bill did pass in the Senate and will be considered by the Assembly after their summer recess. So the timing is excellent for your consideration today. A support letter went before your board on May 2nd, and you requested that the letter be sent back to the Board of Supervisors Housing Policy Committee because you asked for some additional clarifying language that funds should only be used for the intended purpose and not be diverted to other programs, and to recommend that the legislature also consider legislation that will make housing development more affordable and streamlined. The Board of Supervisors Housing Policy Committee reviewed the amended letter at their July 14th meeting and voted to recommend that your board consider sending the amended letter. All of the funds, as you might recall from the previous meeting, will be used for both rental and home ownership. At least 50% of the funds go directly to the locality, and there's a 20% set aside for workforce housing. The Building Industry Association and the Tuolumne County Association of Realtors support the bill. The draft amended letter is in your packet, and staff recommends that your board approve the correspondence and direct the chair to sign. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
One.
Supervisor Royce.
Yeah, how can this be considered a fee when there's no service or any kind of benefit related to a service being exchanged for the monetary value?
Are you referring to that versus
in
a
case you didn't
tax?
figure it out shortly, I don't like this. And we've talked about it.
Yes, we have.
I despise this. And it's totally the wrong answer. I get the intentions of it, and I support the ideas behind affordable housing. I just think they're so naive and so foolish. And the problems that we have are the result of the actions of our legislature and the policies that govern a local government and agencies like ourselves. And I deal with it personally. I'm not going to make you answer that question. It's facetious, but it's BS. It's not a fee. It's a tax. It is, it's good intentioned, but it's a bad outcome, and it's the wrong way to come up with those revenues. So I do not support it. I'll keep it that.
The fundamental problem is there's no money available. We have these programs, and we have no way to fund them consistently. So I don't know what the answer is. I think this is a step towards the funding. I would agree it's not the ultimate answer, but you got to start somewhere. And it's a hard thing to decide on, but I do see that we have support from the real estate community. We've had support from the building community on this. So they're the ones that are affected most by it, and in that they're supporting it, I feel that I can support it also.
Go ahead, Supervisor Hamfield.
Yeah, I generally agree with Supervisor Royce here. This isn't a sustainable model, and subsidized housing is what we talk about. And we don't really talk about affordable housing anywhere except Habitat for Humanity. It's the only program, and even that is subsidized to some degree. But people learn in the Habitat model to become responsible cities, become responsible homeowners. And this is subsidized housing any way you look at it. But I don't see any near-term solution to both rental and home ownership. And we need desperately to work on real solutions. This is but a stopgap, and only because the building community and the real estate people are supporting this. Am I willing to compromise those principles for now? But we have to work on real affordable housing. It is a problem all over this state, and as far as I can tell from talking to people outside our state, other supervisors at NACO and places, affordable housing is a national problem, and it's a disaster. It's bringing us down, and we keep adding regulation that increases the price of homes. We keep adding fees that increase the price of homes, and everything from school fees to water hookup fees and everything else. And we don't and rules like sprinklers regulation. It just isn't working. We've got to find another solution, but for now I have to support this.
So I just have, I agree, actually, with all of the comments that have been shared. My concern, it really gets at the second to the last paragraph, which says, we strongly suggest that you ensure that a broad spectrum of rural advocates is represented on the governing board that would be created to oversee implementation of the Building Homes and Jobs Act. And that's my largest fear, is that we're going to collect dollars here and we won't see them back here. We see this all too often in Sacramento. And so for me, my support is predicated on a broad spectrum. It's not that I'm strongly suggesting. I can't support this if I don't have some assurances that rural counties are going to be represented on the board. And I would like to find a way, again, to say that more strongly. Like I said, my support is predicated on the idea that there will be a broad spectrum of rural advocates represented on the governing board.
Didn't I read somewhere in here that it's going to be intended to be set back proportionate to what you collect?
Yes, half of the funds will go directly to the locality. And the letter could be changed in that instead of we strongly suggest, our support is predicated on assurances that a broad spectrum of rural advocates.
Yeah.
And again, because all too
That's
often
better.
we've seen
So
that there not
captured.
be a follow-through on the state's
So we could make that
intention.
that change, absolutely. I think that would definitely make it stronger.
I would agree.
Supervisor Royce?
Yeah, just one more chance to vent a little bit. So, first thing, this will not make housing affordable. This makes somebody else pay for it at a negative expense. Housing is not affordable because it costs too much. It costs too much because there's too many things that are imposed in a regulatory way that restrict innovative free market solutions. I deal with this day in and day out. I count pennies on projects, and I see every single aspect, and it costs too much, and the cost needs to come down. It has to do with land development. It has to do with building construction. It has to do with overhead costs. It has to do with liability. It has to do with planning and processes and timelines and restrictions. And those things are ignored by the people that are putting this forward. This is not a solution. It's a Band-Aid on a symptom of a bigger problem that is ignored. And I appreciate your efforts to make an attempt to help solve a problem with housing affordability, but it does not do that. And there is other consequences to this. And in the long run, this puts us further down the rabbit hole. It causes deeper problems and takes us farther from the actual solutions. I feel like any potential revenues that we will have here make little impact on the bigger picture. There are thousands of people, thousands and thousands of families who need homes here. I think to create that, you need supply and demand solutions. There's plenty of demand. There's not a shortage of demand for people who need housing, good, safe, comfortable housing, and people want to live here. It's that you can't provide it for them. And $75 fee isn't going to give us that. We need density. Like I said, we need value engineering. We need production. There's a number of things that can result in more affordability. But I don't mean to come down at all. It's just so frustrating because it's just like beating my head against the wall. I see this every time. It just keeps coming back, and I never see something to where we get to comment on a letter about a bill to where they're, fixing the problems, the bigger problems. So, I mean, it's rough.
All right. At this time, I'd like to ask for public comment.
Morning, everyone. I'm Dave Tichenall. I want to echo what Supervisor Royce just said. I totally agree with all of that. Tony Adkins, in authoring this bill, talked about using it as a way to stop this migration away from California, people who can't afford homes. And I would just ask everybody to think about what is the real reason that people can't afford homes. And I think Supervisor Royce just really laid that out. And just one other thing I'm going to add to that. When SB 2 was passed shortly thereafter, they proffered up a AB 106. AB 106 is Marin County asking to be able to bypass all affordable housing laws. And this is systemic with all of this oligarchy that we deal with in California, where affordable housing sounds great, but just don't put it anywhere near me. And we've seen that in Tuolumne County over and over again, where I think some good ideas have come up, but there's always such a fight about where we're going to put it. And I think this will continue to happen until we can find maybe better zoning ordinances or things like that, so that when we do have a good plan to put in low-income housing and it's financed in the correct way, I think we won't be fighting tooth and nail of whether we actually get that housing or not, and developers get discouraged because there's so much of a fight every time. So that's all I really wanted to say about it.
I just want to make a final comment.
Yeah, I want to ask first if there's any other public comment.
So as both a representative of Habitat for Humanity as well as a local builder myself for over 15 years, I want to put on behalf of us that this is actually a very important bill that's being proposed to you. And with affordable housing, we're struggling to be able to find the funds, to find the means to be able to build. Yes, this may not be the overall arching solution. I agree with you on that. However, when are we going to start looking at something and be willing to try something? Currently, Habitat International came out with a statistic that 1 in 4 Americans are living in substandard housing. 1 in 4. So if you looked around at this group that was gathered here today, you could pick out 1 in 4 people who are living in some kind of overcrowded situation. They're living in something provided by slumlords where they're being charged too much, or they have problems with black mold and different things that are in their homes. I see it every day. But I want to encourage you to come out and see the families that we are impacting. And without this type of support, without starting something, the thing is that programs even such as ours, as a nonprofit program, will struggle and eventually cease to exist. We build workforce housing. If we don't build workforce housing, this community won't grow. The people will not come here. And at $75, a fee, guess what? Habitat for Humanity home buyers, they'll be paying the fee too. Do they see it as a fee? No. They see it as an investment in their community to be able to start somewhere to grow our community and provide affordable workforce housing. I agree with you, Supervisor Royce. This is not the ultimate end-all solution. However, it's a start. It's a start where we can together be able to implement. The realtors back at Tuolumne County Building Association, all of us together agree that the funds that would come back here will make a dent here in Tuolumne County and continue to impact affordable housing.
So before I go to Supervisor Gray, I do have a question, either Supervisor Hanfield or Ms. Shanahan, because I did read the minutes from your Housing Policy Committee meeting, and where it did say that the Tuolumne County Association of Realtors and the Building Industry Association were in support of this. I am going to assume that there was a conversation, much like we're having now, but at the end of that conversation, both groups came down in support of this. Is that a correct assumption?
Yes, it is, and actually both groups are represented on the Housing Policy Committee and voted in favor.
Okay. Supervisor Gray?
Yeah, what Evan said is correct. I've built a few houses myself. I totally understand the pitfalls and all the problems of trying to make a profit in building a house. I just know so many people that are looking for something to live in and they need a house. They don't need the shack that they're living in, but they have no choice. They have no place else to go. We don't have that many places. I'm remodeling, or not remodeling, but just fixing up an old house in Groveland, and I've had a dozen calls asking if that house is going to be available to rent. We have to start somewhere. This is not the ultimate answer, but maybe it's some seed money to come forward that'll come forward and get us started on something else. And that doesn't mean we can't address those other things. We need to go after the things that cause the cost of building to go up so high. The guy who builds a house has to make a profit. You can't stay in business without it, and it's expensive to stay in business. You put all the regulations on top of it, and it just makes it increasingly hard to make ends meet. So I'm going to support this, but I'm not going to give up on trying to make some changes.
We asked for public comment, so I'm going to bring this back to the board then.
Madam Chairman, reluctantly, I'm going to move in favor of the staff recommendation here in the letter with the changes you suggested.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Supervisor Hanfeld, a second from Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 3-4, 1 against, and Supervisor Rutherford absent. All right. Will the clerk please read item 9?
This is consideration of adopting a resolution authorizing the submittal of a No Place Like Home technical assistance grant application.
Ms. Shanahan.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the board. Again, it's Sheila Shanahan, Housing Program Coordinator. The state No Place Like Home program is a new program, and so I'll spend a little bit of time explaining what all is involved since it will be new to everyone. The program will provide funds to develop permanent supportive housing to people who are experiencing homelessness and are in need of mental health services. The program will issue $2 billion in bond proceeds, and bonds are repaid from the Mental Health Services Act, which is also called MHSA. You might have heard that term before. The Mental Health Services Act was created by the passage of Proposition 63 in 2005. It provides funding for county mental health programs by imposing a 1% income tax on personal income in excess of $1 million. Funds are collected and distributed to counties on an annual basis, and this is state income tax. Tuolumne County receives approximately $3.2 million every year for ongoing behavioral health services for our community. And it's estimated that with this new No Place Like Home program, because they'll be bonding against a portion of the Mental Health Services Act funds, it will reduce the county's annual MHSA funding by approximately $300,000 per year. The program is designed to address the significant increase in homelessness statewide. The No Place Like Home program is intended to infuse funds to build permanent supportive housing. In 2006, the point-in-time count, which was conducted by the Tuolumne County Central Sierra Continuum of Care, identified in our county 203 people who are homeless, of which 148 were unsheltered. And the point-in-time count, which I know many of you are familiar with, collects data on sheltered and unsheltered homeless individuals on one day in January. And the numbers are, obviously low because it's difficult to obtain accurate counts. Permanent supportive housing, which is the purpose of this program, it helps provide people who are chronically homeless get into permanent, affordable rental housing that provides supportive services to assist them in dealing with whatever issues led to their homelessness and help them succeed in remaining sheltered. The county already has 2 existing permanent supportive housing projects for county behavioral health clients, one of which was funded with MHSA funds. The action before you, which is the No Place Like Home Technical Assistance Grant, would provide $75,000 in grant funds on a non-competitive basis to Tuolumne County to prepare the documents needed for future No Place Like Home project applications and the planning of a possible permanent supportive housing project. The county's Behavioral Health Department and Community Resources Agency are interested in pursuing this grant. This is an opportunity for us to work together in conjunction with community partners and affordable housing developers to bring a project forward. The funds for this grant, it's a technical assistance grant, would be used for tasks such as preparing a homeless plan, supportive services plan, and a variety of other documents that are needed to ultimately apply for project funds for this program. Funds would also be used to identify possible sites and to perform pre-development tasks, such as preparing pro formas, operating budgets, that sort of thing. The grant would give the county the flexibility to use county staff, consultants, community groups, or a combination to provide the services in this grant. And the county doesn't have to commit to that when we apply. The county also wouldn't be committed to developing a permanent supportive housing project if the county applies for this grant, and I think that's an important thing to note. We would be committing to planning for a project and developing the documents that ultimately would be required to apply for future funds, but the county would not be required to repay the TA grant funds if a permanent supportive housing project isn't ultimately developed in our county. The State Housing and Community Development Department anticipates that the funds for development of permanent supportive housing will be available in the summer of 2018 after the bonds are issued. So when it's time to develop a project, counties will be eligible for both a one-time non-competitive grant and competitive loans and grants that will be available over an approximately 4-year period of time. So we'll have multiple opportunities to apply for funds. The county will be eligible for a one-time non-competitive $500,000 grant for development, which is the minimum grant amount. And we'd also be eligible to compete for additional funds, and we'd be competing in a small county set-aside with populations under 200,000, so we wouldn't have to compete with the larger jurisdictions in the state. The non-competitive grant, because it's fairly small, could be used for a small shared housing model, such as Tuolumne County's existing permanent supportive housing project on Washington Street. The larger competitive grants, which are anticipated to be used for rental housing projects where only a portion of the units are for the No Place Like Home clients, and the remainder would be general affordable units that are desperately needed in our county. The larger project, because it would be very complex, would be undertaken in partnership with an experienced affordable housing developer who would then own and manage the project. And counties will be allowed to also work together on projects for clients in the various counties. So we could work with adjoining counties if we so chose. The Board of Supervisors Housing Policy Committee on June 14th voted to recommend that your board adopt a resolution, which is in your packet, authorizing the submittal of a No Place Like Home Technical Assistance Grant application. In order for the county to apply for funds, we do need to submit the application and the board resolution authorizing the submittal of the application. Staff is recommending that your board adopt a resolution authorizing the submittal of a No Place Like Home Technical Assistance Grant application in the amount of $75,000 to prepare documents needed for future No Place Like Home project applications and for the planning of a possible permanent supportive housing project, and authorize the Community Resources Director to administer the grant and sign all necessary documents related to the grant application. And joining us here today is Department of Social Services, Behavioral Health, Steve Boyack, and Christy Conforti, and they're also here to answer any questions, as am I.
If you look at the resolution, the third bullet point there, number 3, under therefore be it resolved, it says the county shall be subject to the terms and conditions as specified in the standard agreement. A lot of times when we apply for these, we don't see that stuff. Can you get that for us? And in the future, for reference for agenda packets, can we include those terms and conditions as part of our agenda packet for those items? And this isn't just for you guys, it's probably for all staff. We do that a lot, grant applications. They're pretty, I just want to see what it's saying. I think for the most part, it's just saying you spend the money on this purpose. You can't spend it for other things. But in some cases, I know the scopes sometimes expand beyond that, and I just feel like it's important for us to read those things. Besides that, I'm okay with it. I think this is important.
The standard agreement isn't, a boilerplate isn't available. I did ask the state, because it's a new program, they're still putting everything together.
They don't even have it?
But the county does enter into standard
to
agreements with housing and community development, and it's boilerplate language. It lays out, you get this amount of money, you have this amount of time to spend it, and these are the items it's going to be used for. It'll be the items in the grant application. So it's pretty straightforward, and we've entered into dozens of these for the home program, the CDBG program. We'll be entering into one for the parks, the housing-related parks program, and they all contain the same boilerplate language that's reviewed by County Council.
Just, Madam Chair, just for clarification, and I'm looking at Supervisor Royce, we typically do have these things in advance. This is not a typical situation. We do have it. The question would be if the board would like that, would you like that kind of detail? Because sometimes those packets can get really thick. Would you want that in your base agenda packet, or have it available with the clerk
or
of the
a link
board?
or something? Just
or a link.
Yeah, and
some access to it.
I don't need to read the entire thing. I scan those things and I just look at what clauses are put in there, and I don't have enough time to go hunt it down every time. It's difficult. If there's an easy way to include it in here, it's helpful, especially that we're now that we're using electronic versions. It's not as much paper, but is that feasible? I don't know. Is it 1,000 pages, or is it? I know you get project spec books, and we see giant stacks of paper. Something like this, I'd imagine, was 20, 30 pages.
And from our office's perspective, because this is one of the things I noticed about this item too, the same thing is I would like to see it. And normally when our offices reviewed it, it would say it's been reviewed by County Council, and then we could answer those questions for you. But obviously that's not the situation with this
And what's the
item.
timeline on this one?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
So there is a timeline on it, and I understand with this being a new program, that is why it's not available. I believe, as the CRA director, I understand the concerns of the board and their council, as well as CAO's office, can look at these documents very carefully once we get them before we actually commit that. Problem with this one, sometimes these things the submittal will be ahead of the final documents. As far as the technical assistance, I understand you don't want to be pre-committed to things and watch the tail end of the money is what I'm assuming you're concerned about.
The concerns I have are related to reporting requirements and liability for being on the hook for these funds if we don't meet some kind of arbitrary metric or something, or matching. I just haven't seen it. I don't know what's in there.
Understood.
Proposed solution. They have to apply for the grant, and the time frame is short. But before we accept the money, we could ask that legal counsel look at it and make sure that we're clean and we don't have any onerous conditions in there.
That's fine.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I'm reading all this stuff. I'm trying to figure out what the downside of accepting $75,000 to help manage it is, and I haven't found it. Is there a downside?
We wouldn't be here if we thought there was serious downsides. I do understand the board's concern, as we have as well, about those unintended consequences of being awarded something. And our staff, Sheila, is outstanding. And we have great counsel. We'll look at that and make sure that we're not committed to something that puts us either at risk or obligating us to act in certain ways. I understand that.
Sheila, I have a question. You talked about the point-in-time survey, and that going forward, after this planning grant, there would be both competitive and non-competitive grants available. And I know you and I have been in a couple of meetings here recently where constituents have really suggested that our homeless population is much larger than that. Could some of these, could a portion of this $75,000 be used to augment that point-in-time survey? Again, we talked about finding other partners that could help with that count. So, because again, as I understand it from conversations, is that the competitive grants are really based on that point-in-time survey number. And so it's, I think, very important for our county to get the most accurate count that we can. And I think ACC has done a good job before. Again, we just, this conversation is expanded with more individuals that have been advocates and talking to us in that role. And so is there any opportunity to use some of these planning dollars towards that effort?
I would have to check with HCD. The point-in-time count is done by the Continuum of Care, which is 4 counties, and so it would also be a discussion with the Continuum of Care. I think no matter how good the count is, it's inherently difficult to count people who don't have a home, and so even in jurisdictions that have large amounts of money to combat homelessness, they face similar challenges. Ours are even more difficult because we have, rural places where people are camped out, and you don't see that so much in an urban area. You're able to identify locations.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not debating the difficulty. It's because of that difficulty that I'm suggesting we look for.
Yes, we can ask
any
HCD
potential.
if that's an allowed use.
Right. Any other questions? Is there any public comment? All right, I'll bring it back to the board.
I'll move on staff recommendation.
I'll second.
A motion by Supervisor Gray, a second by Supervisor Royce. I am assuming that motion is with the suggestion that Supervisor Hanfeld made, that before accepting the money, we would have council review.
Yes.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rutherford absent. Thank you. All right. Will the clerk please read item 10?
Consideration of approving an amendment and restated joint exercise of power agreement and memorandum of understanding with the California Automated Consortium Eligibility System.
Good morning, Chairwoman Brennan, members of the board, Ms. Carrillo, Mr. Pedro. My name is Rebecca Espino, Deputy Director for the Department of Social Services. As we know, technology continues to be the cornerstone of efficiency. Once again, Tuolumne County has the opportunity to capitalize on a growing advancement to our automated computer system. In 1998, almost 2 decades ago, our Social Services Department began utilizing automation to help manage the public assistance programs. At that time, the state supported 4 separate automated systems. In 2007, your board approved a JPA and MOU similar to the ones presented today, allowing us to migrate from our initial 1998 automated system to join C4. This migration reduced the number of automated computer systems in California from 4 to 3. During this past decade, the C4 system has performed well in keeping us current technological advancements such as interfaces with agencies and document imaging. These advancements have directly contributed to efficient use of staff time. The C4 system helps the department to verify that applicants and beneficiaries qualify for public assistance by electronically connecting us to data from the Social Security Administration, Employment Development Department, Franchise Tax Board, and the Child Support Department, just to name a few. In addition, the system helps the department serve over 13,000 Tuolumne County residents. Although the C4 system has performed well, the passage of Assembly Bill 16 has once again mandated a reduction to the number of automated systems in California, and this is to help reduce cost. This legislation requires that 39 C4 counties merge with Los Angeles County to form a new consortium known as CalACES. This merger will reduce the automated systems in California from 3 to 2. Fortunately, the new CalACES computer system is based on our existing C4 platform. A selected few of our social services employees participated in assessing the functionality of the new program, and they have confirmed the new system will further enhance our abilities to meet the public's needs and to continue to support efficiencies. The estimated annual maintenance and operation cost of $17,000 and the annual administration cost of a little over $1,700 is well worth the technical benefits the department will receive. In closing, we respectfully recommend your board approve the JPA and MOU between the County of Tuolumne and CalACES and authorize the chair to sign all related documents. Thank you.
Are there any questions? Is there any public comment? All right, let me bring it back.
I don't have any questions. I think, from what I understand, this helps with your eligibility, make sure people aren't
double dipping.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sure.
they're not
That's
working.
part of
us.
it, yes.
Good thing.
Perfect. So I appreciate this, and I'm glad that we are using technology for these types of purposes. And with that, I'd be happy to make a motion based on the recommendation.
Second.
I have a motion from Supervisor Royce, a second from Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rutherford absent. At this time, let's take a 10-minute recess, and then we will come back and read our closed session items. Okay. We're going to be coming back with 7A, and so we can do reports at that time. So we'll take a 10-minute recess.
Steve?
All right, it is 10:30, and we are going to reconvene our meeting. Would the clerk please read item 11?
Reports.
And I will start to my left.
So for the last couple of weeks, some things that have been taking a great deal of my office's time is reviewing and understanding the marijuana trailer bill, and that included attending the marijuana working group and a presentation from RCRC on that trailer bill that merged the adult use and medicinal marijuana use into one law. Then we'll be attending the Cannabis Summit tomorrow, hosted by RCRC, CSAC, and the UCC. We've also been working with the CAO's office on the jail specifications and assisting on a juvenile appeal. And then I also met with the 1718 grand jury earlier this week. Thank you.
Supervisor Royce. Supervisor Gregg.
I just want to report that I did attend the RCRC presentation that we had here in the boardroom, and I believe the representatives from RCRC did an excellent job. They're obviously very knowledgeable, but afterward, I went back to my office and started reflecting on how we're going to get to where we need to be. It's going to be difficult just for the public's benefit. It's going to be a monumental task, and I'm certainly happy that Supervisor Royce and Supervisor Brennan are on that committee. So that's all I have to report.
Supervisor Hanfeld.
Yeah, a number of items, Madam Chairman. Recent RCRC meeting, RCRC has reactivated a 501c3 group they call RAI, Rural Alliance Incorporated. Its purpose is to go after grants that would ordinarily be available to RCRC, and they intend to push forth on rural economic development with RAI. And so I think that's a very positive step taken by RCRC. Tree Martelli Task Force continues to meet, not making much progress on insurance, but one of the interesting things we've been pushing for some time for a waiver on the LTO D49 issues, and we keep hearing that maybe something will happen on Friday. We some of us got a sneak preview of the executive order that we expect will be signed any day by the governor that in fact solves that problem. And so we're very excited about that, and it was very nice for us to get a chance to review it and make sure it met our needs. That's a big deal. A couple of comments on cap and trade. We know it passed yesterday. I don't know that we know what's exactly in there, but RCRC had 3 issues that they were trying to get in there, and I believe 2 of them were in there for sure. One of them was that the SRA fees are gone, and I believe that's in there. The other one is that the Healthy Forest program remained in there, and I believe that's true. The one that I'm not sure about that RCRC was pushing for if they were going to pass cap and trade was that they changed the screening mechanism for disadvantaged communities and not use EnviroScreen, because basically the rural counties were left out of that completely. We were never going to be disadvantaged and get any chance at some of those funds. Motherlode job training, I've attended that, and I want to just report out that Motherlode job training is finally, under the new leadership, is becoming an entity in the region, and people recognizing the job it's doing, and it's going forth and actually contributing to our community. That's a really big deal. Final thing I want to mention, and with all deference to my friend Chief Crabtree out there, I attended on Saturday the Ladies Volunteer or Auxiliary that supports Cedar Ridge Volunteer Fire Department. I attended their barbecue picnic on Saturday. What an amazing turnout. What amazing support for our firefighters and our volunteer firefighters that they do. That was a terrific event, and so I just encourage the rest of our population to support their fire units wherever they are, and if you live in the Cedar Ridge area and you missed that one, don't miss it next year. That's a great event. That's an entire volunteer unit, and it was amazing. They were all there, and Chief White was there as well. So it was a big deal and a good thing. So thank you very much. That's it.
Mr. Pedro.
I just got back from vacation, and I'm a much happier camper. Just saying. Yeah, and that's most of the staff is just coming to. Yesterday was the first time we've had most all the staff back, and everyone looks more rested, and the work is there. I got to say a shout out to Mo Frank. She was holding down the fort for a couple of weeks while the rest of us were playing. And besides from being acting CIO, most of the work that's been going on has been in the jail, juvenile, NDRC, the fire study. All those things are still going on. And there's a lot of things, and all those categories should be coming towards your board in the not too distant future. Just to note, the grand jury coming out with their comments. That's going to require that we're going to be before your board, going to shoot to be before your board for your August 15 meeting with proposed comments, since those would be due the end of August. Anyway, we'll just bring those forward. And I know we're focusing down. We'll be meeting with department heads on Friday to talk about that, but also getting ready for the budget hearing, which will be again September 5th. And we'll be having department heads submitting things in the near future for any potential changes for your board's consideration during that hearing. I was going to comment about the cap and trade. That's interesting, but you got the supermajority, it appears. The governor needed. That pretty much keeps that in place for years to come, good, bad, or indifferent. Don't know. Just at the state level, that contracting bill that's been weaving its way through, it eked out of, was it the Senate? Policy committee by one vote, and that's been League of California Cities, CSAC, RCRC. Everyone's been opposing that. That's a really scary bill because it's going to make it, if passed, it's going to make it very difficult, for local governments to contract for services, and we have hundreds of contracts, for services. I know our representatives are in support of our position on that. But it's going to take the collective efforts of all those other folks I just mentioned is to try and sway that in the legislature. So it's a very scary bill. And yes, the Affordable Care Act with the declaration, they're not going to pursue the repeal and replace, but repeal. And I don't know if, assuming they have the votes for that, I guess that's going to leave us in kind of a quandary over the next 2 years to see what it's replaced with. So that's just stuff that we're going to have to monitor. That's it.
Clerk? All right, I just have a couple of items. On July 10th, as Supervisor Gray mentioned, we did have the marijuana working group meeting, a meeting that went for 4 hours and had a very good presentation from RCRC. And please extend our thanks to staff. Very informative, a lot of information, and I'm going to echo Supervisor Gray's comments in that we learned just how much we don't know at this point in time. But really do appreciate their presentation. We will be having a work session for the full board on August 15th. And with I believe the facilitator will be present at that meeting. So the normal meeting of the marijuana working group in August, it will not be on the second Monday at 8 a.m. It will be in the afternoon at our board meeting on August 15th. The other thing that I would like to remind everyone of is one of, I think, the best fundraisers that Tuolumne County holds, and that is the Meals on Wheels fundraiser, which will be August 26th, and remind everyone of the tremendous effort that goes on at that event to raise funds to feed our seniors that are homebound, and they also provide services like taking books and just providing companionship at that event. So if you're interested in tickets, please contact the Senior Center, 533-2622. The theme for this year is Come Together, and the dinner is catered by Seven Sisters. So will the clerk please read our closed session?
This is closed session, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, Authority Government Code, Section 549569D1. Dwayne Isich, SG versus County of Tuolumne County Superior Court Case Number CV 60279, and conference with legal counsel, anticipated litigation, Authority Government Code Section 549569D2, and then that's one case.
Do we anticipate reporting anything out? All right. But we will be coming back before lunch to address item 7A.
And we need public comment.
And is there any public comment on the closed session items? All right. Seeing none, we will convene to closed session. And we do not have anything to report out. Will the clerk please read item 7A?
Consideration of approving change order number 7 for the Motherlode Regional Juvenile Detention Facility.
No.
Yes, good afternoon. Before you today for your consideration is change order number 7 for the juvenile facility. The work entailed in this change order directly relates to mechanical revisions that are needed for the security electronics room at this facility. Right now, as it stands, the HVAC system that's in that room is not sufficient to meet the cooling demands that are needed for the equipment to work correctly. The scope of work in change order number 7 includes the following items. The contractor will be removing the current ceiling, all of the light fixtures, the ductwork, and all the fireproofing. They will then provide security protection around the electronic system during construction, because we can't turn off the security system and keep the facility working without protecting all of the equipment inside there. We will shut down just a small portion of the fire sprinkler system, and then we will be mounting and putting in a new HVAC unit that's just for that room. We will install a new ceiling and, again, put up the lights, and then all the ductwork needs to be put back and the lights for that room. The change order, I believe, the county administrator just passed out the change order request from the contractor, FNH. The total amount of the request change order is $124,102.52. Please note that the electrical work and both the contractor's line item that you see on the change order are a not to exceed number. Staff will be working both with the electrician and the contractor. They're going to be doing the work on a time and material basis, and we will be following that. So what's in here is a not to exceeds number. Staff will, it's estimated that this is the compensation for this work, you need to note, is due to FNH because it is beyond the original scope of work that they had in the plans and specs when they originally contracted for this work. Once this change order is initiated, it'll take 3 weeks for the equipment to arrive, and it'll take approximately no more than 2 weeks for the work to be concluded. One thing to note is that this work was mentioned and brought forward under change order number 6 to your board in late June, and we have included this amount in the 17-18 recommended budget. So that's where the money will come out if this is approved. And I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Are there any questions? Is there any? Oh, do you have a question?
Just comment.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So I just want to say that you're doing a good job on this.
Thank you.
And the questions you've answered for me behind the scenes, which I don't really want to point out here, are you answered them in ways that I'm satisfied with, and I just want to tell you that I appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Is there any public comment? Right, I'll bring it back to the board.
Second.
I have a motion by Supervisor Royce, a second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rutherford absent.
Thank
With
you.
that, we will convene until our 1:30 appointment. We are going to reconvene the Board of Supervisors meeting. Will the clerk please read our 1:30 appointment?
Public hearing to consider Plume mitigated negative declaration for a zone change and special ordinance amending section 1706020 of the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code.
Staff report.
Madam Chair, members of the board, David Gonzalez, I'm your Community Resource Agency Director. I want to draw your attention to the items that you have on your desk, as well as the email you received earlier this morning about those items that were inadvertently left out of the packet. They're the copies of the declaration, mitigated neg deck, your initial study paperwork, and also the Planning Commission report with their recommendations are all included in there. There's items at the back of the room for all public members who wish to have those. Just letting everybody know that those items are included there. You have those for your consideration and determination to make your findings and your decision today. I'm going to turn this over to Renee Hendry, our planner on the project. She'll be giving you a brief presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, board members. We have an application from Joseph and Holly Plume for zone change rezone 16002 and tentative parcel map T16009. This application was submitted on March 14, 2016 to the Tuolumne County Community Resources Agency for review. Here are the vision, mission, and value statements adopted by Tuolumne County, which are utilized as a guide for the processing of each project application that we receive. The purpose of the zone change is to allow the division of a 16.1 acre parcel into 4 parcels and a remainder. Only the zone change is being considered at this hearing today. The tentative parcel map will be heard by the Tuolumne County Surveyor's Office at a later date if the zone change is approved by the Board of Supervisors. The property is designated Estate Residential, ER, by the Tuolumne County General Plan and is currently zoned A10, General Agricultural 10-acre minimum under Title 17 of the Ordinance Code. Zone change RZ16-002 proposes to change the zoning to RE2, which is Residential Estate 2-acre minimum, and O1, Open Space 1, to be consistent with the existing ER land use designation. This zone change will facilitate the proposed land division. The project site is located at 18074 Yosemite Road. The site contains the Estate Residential General Plan, which allows 1 single-family dwelling on every 2-acre parcel and 1 secondary dwelling per parcel. The ER designation also allows agricultural uses such as farm animals and the raising of a crop. The existing zoning on the project site is currently A10. The project site on Yosemite Road is approximately 1 mile to the southwest of the community of Tuolumne. Parcels in this area of Yosemite Road range in size from 1.2 acres to 18.4 acres. The proposed parcel sizes would be consistent with the parcels in this area of Yosemite Road. Tentative parcel map T16-0091 proposes 4 parcels and a remainder. A remainder parcel is not recognized as a legal parcel and cannot obtain a building permit or other permits unless a certificate of compliance is obtained pursuant to the Subdivision Map Act. All the parcels are proposed to have driveway access from Yosemite Road for a total of 4 driveways. The areas with yellow banding are the areas proposed to be placed in the Open Space 1 zoning for the preservation of wetland habitat and oak trees in those areas. Implementation Policy 1AA of the land use element of the general plan states to provide a range of land uses to serve the needs of residents in the county and to provide a balanced pattern of development. The proposed zone change would be consistent with the existing estate residential ER land use designation on the project site, which would allow the full development potential of up to 8 dwelling units. The vegetation on the project site includes blue oak trees, foothill gray pines, valley oak trees, manzanita, toyon, one elderberry shrub, and annual grassland. A biological study was conducted on the project site, which proposed mitigation measures to ensure the most valuable portions of wildlife habitat on the site are to be protected, so that all potential impacts to the wildlife habitat are less than significant. A site inspection by county staff observed the presence of a wetland area on the project site. The wetland area includes a portion in the center of the northern property line from pond overflow from a pond to the north and 2 streams near the southeast property boundary. The project biologist proposed these areas to be included into the Open Space 1 zoning to ensure protection of the wetland areas. Valley oak trees are also located within the area proposed to be preserved near the southeast property boundary in the Open Space Zoning District. The project was sent out review by adjacent property owners and advisory agencies. 40 property owners within 1,000 feet of the site were notified. 11 comments from neighbors were received. 1 was in favor of the project. 10 neighbors were opposed, stating such concerns as increased traffic, increased noise from having more neighbors, more residences in an area that was thought to be agricultural, and more wells interfering with neighboring wells. Water wells in the Sierra foothills are located in fractured rock formations which form pockets of water similar to a straw inside a water bubble. Typically, each well is located in its own individual water bubble. The site is currently zoned A10, which would allow intense agricultural uses and more wells presently. Wells for new residences typically utilize less water than intense agricultural activities. The project was subject to the California Environmental Quality Act, or CEQA, and a mitigated negative declaration was prepared. The initial study identified potential environmental impacts. However, the project's potential impacts were mitigated to less than significant levels by incorporating the mitigation measures identified in the initial study into the conditions of approval for tentative parcel map T16-0091. Topics that were addressed in the initial study includes hydrology and water quality, biological resources, protection of wetlands, oak trees, land use and planning, zoning consistency, neighbor comments, traffic and circulation, visual quality, and cultural resources. A study was conducted for the investigation of cultural resources, along with any potential mitigation measures to ensure that any potential impacts were less than significant. The project is proposing to meet the mission of Tuolumne County by increasing the number of parcels available for new residences so more people can enjoy a rural lifestyle and a healthy and safe community. The ability to construct more new residences would also aid in the creation of employment opportunities for people in the construction industry and also increase the sale of new home materials in Tuolumne County. The Planning Commission heard the project for Zone Change RZ 16-002 on Wednesday, July 5, 2017. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval of the zone change and adoption of the negative declaration prepared for this project 5-0. The Board of Supervisors need to make findings that the proposed project will not cause significant adverse impacts to the environment and that the proposed conditions of approval are proportional to the potential environmental impacts that could be associated with this project. By implementing all of the conditions of approval following approval of this project, the developer can ensure that all potential adverse environmental impacts are less than significant. The Board of Supervisors also needs to make findings for the proposed zone change, RZ 16-002, to ensure it is consistent with the general plan, ordinance code, and is also suited to the permitted uses under that proposed zoning district. The Board of Supervisors can approve the project. They can approve the project with modifications. They can deny the project, or they can send the project back to staff to work on any outstanding issues. Any questions?
Are there any board questions? John?
Just a clarification. When we look at the findings, and I'm sorry, I'm going back and forth between some pages here. The findings that we're going to be looking at are the ones for the zone change only, not the approval of the negative declaration?
It is to approve the negative declaration and the zone change.
Gotcha. All right, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? All right, this is a public hearing, and so we're going to open the public hearing at 1:41. I would first like to hear from any of the project proponents. Anyone in favor of the project?
Good afternoon. I'm Joe Plume, the property owner, or my wife and I. I just want to say we're greatly in favor of the project, and really it's our names on the application, but it's a extended family project. My two sisters and their husbands are partners in it, and we're just subdividing to create a spot that we can each build our own homes for our families to grow up in a rural neighborhood and area in a county that we all grew up in and enjoy. So, it aligns with the general plan. Just want to point that out. And the concerns about water. It's currently zoned ag with an existing well on site and a double-wide modular that's nicely boarded up with no trespassing posted all over it, which will be removed. So, clean up the area. And with current ag use, it has potential to be have vineyards, orchards, or any intensive water use. So from that standpoint, with the 4 parcels, potentially 4 homes, right now we're currently planning on just 3 houses for 3 of us, but future build out for parents or in-laws or something in the future. So I don't know if you have any questions, but that's kind of a summary of our project.
Thank you.
All right.
Would anyone else like to speak in favor of the project?
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Richard James. I'm the staff surveyor for this project. This is one of the more consistent projects as far as compliance with development and orderly development. I feel strongly that this is a good development in this area. It's not a piecemealing. That's kind of where I stand on this, and I'd love to answer any questions you guys have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor of the project? All right. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to the project?
Good afternoon, Chairman and board members. My name is David Sajensky, and my wife Linda and I live at 18358 Zenny Lane, Tuolumne. Zenny is off of Yosemite Road. Thank you for allowing me to address this board. Based on the speakers today and looking over the minutes of the Planning Department Commission meeting, you might think I was the only one opposed to the project. Renee did have a slide in there talking about the 10. There was 40 questionnaires sent out. 10 came back opposed. One was for it. I've talked to another 6 of my neighbors, and no one is for it. It's all about the water. Obviously, there's a lot of concern on the part of the neighbors. So the question becomes, is that concern legitimate or just a case of NIMBY? Drink of water. I believe the concern is legitimate for the following reasons. During the Planning Commission meeting, Environmental Health Director Mr. Koslivy, did I get that right, noted that there have been many studies that state that an acre separation from wells is significant and should not have any impact between neighboring wells. He noted that he does not see any problems with the project affecting the wells in that general area. However, I spoke with Mr. Koslivy 3 months ago and expressed my fear that our wells may dry up. He explained the valley water table is different than the fractured rock aquifers that we have here. I expressed relief and said, well, that's great news. So you're saying this project won't affect my well? And Mr. Koslivy replied, I can't say that. He said it could affect my well, and I should understand that if it does, digging it deeper may not hit water. In fact, and I quote, you might drill 3 new wells and not hit water. I said if that was the case, that wells went dry, would the county help us out by assisting with the deepening or new wells or connecting us to an alternative water supply? He stated emphatically no, absolutely not. He said there was a dry well program. In fact, some of the participants are up on Yosemite Road in my neighborhood. And that is ending June 30th. I'm sure you all know this, and they have absolutely no plans to continue it. So it seems that although Mr. Koslivy doesn't see any problems, if there are any, the existing homeowners will be on the hook to find the solution. In the initial study that was done, it attempted to relieve some of the neighborhood water concerns also. On page 27, and I think you guys have page 27, somewhere it states, down towards the bottom, since Tuolumne County does not have one continuous aquifer for water storage, individual wells utilize water stored in fractured rock formations. The wells in the project site may be located in a rock formation separate from neighboring wells. It then goes on to reference some numbers regarding rainfall and the amount of the water that reaches the aquifer. I'll address those in a moment, but those numbers are the basis for the following statement. The project site should have adequate water for use by the proposed future residents on the site and should not deplete the groundwater in this area. That's a lot of mays and shoulds and should nots for a reasonable person to be betting tens of thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands. If our well goes dry and we can't get more water, as Mr. Koslivy mentioned, your property's worthless. No one's going to buy that. That's a lot. That's a big risk, and there's no gain for us in it. All risk. What I want to hear is that the aquifer is located, or their well is located in a separate aquifer, and it will have adequate water, and words like that, not maybe and should have. But let's get back to the numbers that enabled the study to make those definitive maybe statements. Starting with the 32 inches of rainfall on 15.1 acres equals 35.5 acre feet per hour. I want to start out by saying math is my weakest subject, but I can do some simple multiplication if you give me a calculator. Per the U.S. Geological Survey, 1 inch of rain on 1 acre equals 27,154 gallons, times 32 inches in a year equals 868,000 gallons, times 15.1 acres equals 13,120,000 plus or minus gallons. Divide that by the number of gallons on an acre foot of water, 326,000, and you get 40. The study says you get 35.5. Now, I did this math over and over, and there's something wrong there. Now, I could be wrong, but when simple things are wrong in a report, things like that, that just, that makes me very concerned about the quality of the entire report. Okay, but it looks like it makes their case stronger. Now, instead of having 35 acre feet of water falling on the property, they're getting 40 acre feet. Except when we look at the next statement that claims 50% of the rainwater is absorbed into the ground. Again, the U.S. Geological Society disagrees. At the top, you didn't get top of page 2, but it's on this website, USGS. It states, in the United States, 70% of the annual precipitation returns to the atmosphere by evaporation from land and water surfaces and from transpiration from vegetation. So there's no 50% getting into the aquifer as this thing stated. The remaining 30% that doesn't evaporate eventually reaches the stream, lake, or ocean, partly by overland runoff during and immediately after rain, and partly by a much slower route by moving through the ground. So obviously the 50% figure is incorrect, but what is the right number? It's hard to find out because the USGS states there are a number of factors that affect rainfall reaching the aquifer. The rate of rain is number one. Second is the topography of the land. Water falling on unlevel land drains downhill until it becomes part of a stream or finds a hollow place to accumulate like a lake or soaks into the ground. Well, we certainly are on unlevel ground here. So in my humble opinion, a generous estimate of the percentage of the unevaporated water that might reach our aquifer would be the 50%. That means 6 acre-feet enter the aquifer, a far cry from the 17.8 that the study claims. So per the USGS, again, the average California uses 181 gallons per day in their household with an average of 3 people, and they use 57% of that water outside on their 0.14 lot, which equals 792,000 gallons a year, which is only 2 acre-feet. There's still 2.4. There's still plenty left. They're getting 6, right? Except these lots are not 0.14. And as Renee mentioned, these lots are meant for agricultural use, for other things. If they irrigate actually these lots are, the smallest one is 15 times larger than the average. If they irrigate or landscape just 1/4 of that 2 acres, the water use jumps to 5.2 acre-feet a year out of the 6 that they're adding in. And let's be clear, although Joe says that he's not going to build any guest houses at this time, there's nothing in there that says he can't. He could build them tomorrow, the permit that allows it. If I admire his wanting to keep his family together. I'm a very family-orientated guy too. But he could sell that property the next day. So those are great reasons, but it could change. And basically, we're being told that if we don't go along with this, that he's going to plant grapes or almonds or something that's going to use high water. And I just want to say, that's a dangerous precedent that a developer would say, I'm going to buy some ag land, and if you don't go along with what I'm going to do, I'm going to drain everybody's well. Honestly, Joe and Holly Plume are a lovely couple. They're very good friends with my son and daughter-in-law. I do not want to quash their dreams. I truly don't want to. However, Dave and Linda are a lovely couple, and we go to church, we pay our taxes, and we have dreams also. And our dreams are to live in peace and quiet in our house on Zenny Lane and not run out of water. Now, at this time, I'm not asking that you deny the project. I suggest that we look for a win-win solution here. I'm not a hydrologist, but maybe there is a way we can determine if there is any danger of this happening. Maybe some hydrologists can come up with something that'll reassure the 25% of the 91% of the people that have called in, 25% of the people that they're not going to run out of water. Or maybe the county or somebody could run the water system down. I know that would be tremendously expensive, but it would open up huge areas for development. I'm not against development. I'm fine with that. At the minimum, though, somebody should rerun those numbers, the 70% number and the acre footage number, and actually figure out, is there enough water going into that 16-acre parcel of land to service a potential 8 houses. I guess that's all I got. Thank you. Do you guys have any questions for me? I have.
Thank you. Just a second, I think. Supervisor Gray.
Yes. Renee, do you have this colored map on your? Okay. Can you show me where your property is in relation to that?
I am right here.
A 9-acre parcel?
Yes. So that's what, 4 houses, right? No, I'm kidding.
I was looking at the relative position of this property compared to the properties around it.
We're up the hill.
Yeah, you're
my well is already at 700 feet. In 2000, it was tested at 22 gallons per minute. In 2015, it was tested at 7.
Okay.
So we are very, very concerned.
Right. Thank you.
There was one other thing. That letter? One of our neighbors sent a letter, and I think you guys got a copy of it, but he wanted me to read it. Did you guys care if I do that, or do you want me not to take up any more of your time?
Is that the copy from
Lynn-
Mr. Culver?
Lynn Culver, yeah.
Yeah, we did get a copy of that and
So
have read it.
you guys will read that at your own leisure?
Thank you.
Okay. Any more questions?
Any other questions? No, thank you.
I do have one for Rob.
Yeah, thank you very much. Rob, can you come on up for a second? Or a minute? Or two? I was wondering, do you have a question to this gentleman's comments for Rob?
Yeah, and in relationship to the map is still up there. I'm going to tax your memory here. In relationship to the project site, I know we're servicing 1 or 2 wells out there, people with water. Do you recall where those were specifically?
Rob Kostlevy, Community Resources Agency, Environmental Health Division. I don't recall exactly in proximity to where that is located. There is, I believe, 2 in the Tuolumne general proper area, around that area.
Okay. And as I recall, that's a portion of the old Fitch Ranch that you guys are, pardon? Hershey Ranch, okay. Seems to me, longtime resident, I've driven that road lots of times, but it seems like in that one particular spot there used to be some irrigation and some irrigated pasture out in that flat over the years.
And I think there was some to the farther down Yosemite.
Yeah, yeah. Was irrigated, as I remember years ago. I don't know what their water source was. If it was a pond or a well, or can anybody answer that question?
I don't recall on that one.
Okay, I know you've not around long enough.
I have questions for Rob.
All right.
All right.
Go ahead.
Yeah. The calculations Mr. Sadinsky was going through, talking about water, a lot of that, when I was listening to him, sounded like he was presuming that all of the water for that site would be sourced from the area of the property boundaries, but that's not how fractured rock aquifers work. Most of the water that's flowing through the rocks underneath that property could be from far away. Is that correct?
That is correct, and I think that is one of the misconceptions of what the gentleman was reading. Is, I presented to this board and to the public many times on the hydrogeology of fractured rock formations and alluvial type formations, which we see in the valley, and completely different hydrology in the valley. You can have multiple straws, multiple wells going into the ground, and they all would have pretty much the same type of hydrochemistry going on in there. Same amount of water flow, so a well 1,000 feet away, a mile away, would actually have the same type of structures, chemical structure, same flow, same gallons per minute. Up here in Tuolumne County, we have the fractured rock formation, and part of the luxury that I had is during the drought, the height of the drought, I was able to go out into all of the wells that were struggling, and some of the wells were 10 feet away from each other. And as I'm running a test on one, I'm running a test on the other, and pulling chemical analysis and using sonar to look at the drop of the water level in each well that I'm testing. and there was no correlation. I mean, 10 feet away. So it's the whole fractured rock formation could be miles away, and it just as the cracks in the rocks fill with water from time, it may take 4 to 6 years before that water to percolate and make its way into that specific area where they bypass it or bisect it with a drill rig. And looking at what the project is and what it can be, I believe with the homes that are going on there or being proposed is going to be far less than if it was used for an ag use.
So with the proposed project, if I understand you correctly, you're saying it doesn't cause you concern based on your professional expertise that it threatens the surrounding wells because of the nature of the type of wells that they are.
That is correct. And let's use my subdivision for an example. My well is right around 6 gallons a minute. About 200 feet away is my neighbor's well, and he's pumping 150 gallons a minute. We're in very close proximity, but completely different hydrogeology. I have a vacant lot next to mine. If someone were to develop that into a couple parcels and drill wells on those, I don't have that concern because I understand the hydrogeology of that type of aquifers.
Thank you.
Just as a point of clarification, if they chose to do an intensive ag, plant some kind of vineyard or something, they would be the process to drill another well. They just have to file a permit for an ag well. And
that's correct. They can drill as many wells as they want as long as they can fit it and meet all the setbacks.
Okay.
Madam Chair, I'm going to ask Rob to go over, at the Planning Commission meeting, we did have a well driller come, not at our request, but he did show. If you would share what his statements were, Rob, you were here at that meeting, regarding the type of rock structures and the water flow and the type of geology that he encounters here as a well driller. Would you share a little bit of that with the board, please?
I don't want to put...
Not a matter of opinion, facts,
yes.
and his experience and professional experience, because none of us are experts. Just trying to give the board a flavor of what Planning Commission heard and what staff is basing our information upon.
And for me, as a scientist and a government employee, hearing firsthand knowledge from an actual person that's in the field every day, 6 days a week, drilling wells, and has done it all of his life and has been around it, hearing, basically regurgitating what I just basically told you is with the fracture rock formation, drilling these wells, there never is a guarantee, but they typically find the water that's there, but the more fractures and cross connections that they do encounter, it results in a higher producing well. But with obviously with the fracture rock formation, there's no guarantees.
There's no guarantees that plumes are going to hit any more water either. No. When they drill a well, that's always a risk when you do this. We learned a lot through the drought, and not by trial and error, but by things that actually happened, and all of the information that you supplied us, everything that I've read, and talking to the well drillers, that in our foothills, wells, like you said, next to other, they don't affect each other. They just haven't shown that to happen.
In an ideal situation, in a development such as this, it would always be my recommendation that when they do drill their wells for their homes, if that's the route that your board goes, that they do put in storage tanks for that well, because you have an initial filling of that tank, and then you're not pulling large sums of water to meet the needs of that household. That water is already there. We have other businesses in the county that rely on that type of methodology. The state has approved that type of methodology, and it just makes good sense.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rob.
I would like to ask if there is anyone else that would like to speak in opposition. The public hearing is still open. I'm going to have to ask council if someone who has already spoken can speak again, because I don't want to get into we were asking staff for clarification.
Under the public hearing rules of your board, it does go for, against, neutral, and then rebuttal and potentially sir rebuttal. And there is, those rules say, you speak,
All right.
you get one
And
bite of
if
the
no
apple.
one speaks in
rebuttal,
then there
rebuttal.
is no sir rebuttal.
That's correct.
All right, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that for our public. So let us get through our process here. All right, is there anyone else that would like to speak in opposition? Is there anyone who would like to speak neutrally? Right. Is there anyone who would like to give a rebuttal who spoke during the those in favor of comments? All right, seeing none, the public hearing is closed at 2:06. So I'd be happy to chat with you after the meeting and explain our process that we have to follow. All right? Okay, I'm going to bring this back to the board and ask if there are any more questions of staff. All right, are there any comments?
Yeah, a couple on the water issue. First-hand experience. Two neighbors. I had bad water quality, so I had a guy come test my well, and we mitigated that with a water treatment system. So the guy that owned the other two houses had those wells checked. 3 wells. One of them is probably 700 feet away from mine. The other one's about 400 feet away from mine, and maybe 400 from the other one. Completely different water chemistry. No two of them were even close. Dramatically different. So my conclusion on that is I'm not sure these things are hydrologically connected. Yeah, there's probably an overall quantum of water someplace, and we don't really understand how it recharges. So I'm not sure that the well he might have over here will affect your well. By the way, how much does your well draw? Do you test that? Did you tell us that?
The original well was 6 gallons a minute. We'll drill a new one, 2 wells, full set.
Okay, so I just don't know that that's the problem here. I think they're pretty much independent because we don't have an aquifer. So I'm not so worried about that. I just wanted to share that because I think it maybe makes you feel a little better. By the way, one of my neighbors had a little problem with the well, and no one else did. Again, relatively close. So and his, by the way, recovered. So I just don't know what's going to happen.
So this is District 3, so I'll make a quick statement, then I'm going to make a motion. I appreciate the concerns of the neighbors, but I don't think that they're founded from the recommendations of our staff. The information I've heard before, looking at during the drought, we had groundwater regulations and things that were being discussed. There's still things that have came from that, and there's totally different rules for areas like the valley and where we're at. We don't have the same issues. It's basically it's like a river versus a lake, you know. Like I said, I appreciate the concerns, but I think that they are not a threat to the degree at which they're being expressed. I think this is a good project that fits the area. If you look at that map right there, everything along that corridor is similar parcel sizes to what's being proposed. And it is a nice area, a nice rural area, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to put your houses there for your family. So with that, I would like to make a motion to approve the mitigated neg deck based on findings A through F, and also approve the zone change based on findings A, B, and C.
Second.
And the other comment is Rob back there is an expert on this stuff, but when you build, and you might consider this if you can retrofit it, gray water systems save a lot of water in your water usage, and I think that's worth doing. I wish I'd done that, but I can't retrofit it in my case, but you might want to consider that if you build.
All right, I have a motion by Supervisor Royce and a second by Supervisor Gray. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries 4-0 with Supervisor Rutherford absent. And with that, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.